Hey folks, this is BestInSlot. It's a brand new week and that means a brand new mod spotlight for Jurassic World Evolution 2. We're only going to look at 6 mods today, however a couple of them include a bunch of new skins and species and all this kind of jazz, loads of new cosmetics. And the first one we're going to take a look at is a modding breakthrough all on its own, so really excited to showcase that in just a moment. Before we do any of that though, disclaimer as per usual, mods can cause some problems, you might lose save files and stuff like that if you're, changing and chopping mods around, especially when the game updates. Just make sure that you're being very careful with it. And if it does break your game, it's not my fault, it's not the mod maker's fault, and it's not Frontier's fault. Right, enough dilly-lallying, that's not a word. We are going to start off today with a very cool brand new mod. This is Deinosuchus by Masterdoot. The exit animation is a bit broken. So, showcasing two of the very specific cosmetics here. This is the Mississippiensis skin based on the modern American alligator. And then very cool, we've got an albino version as well. With even those red eyes, we've got that bright white skin and those red eyes. It looks awesome. It kind of feels like it's pulled from like a modern cheesy horror film. It's very, very cool. Now, not only is this a fantastic looking Deinosuchus, we're not going to talk too much about Deinosuchus itself because we've done it several times now. It's really well modelled, looks absolutely brilliant, and really lovely textures and modelling work done there, as you would expect. I think the mouth in particular is really cool with the teeth hanging down and that lovely wibbly-wobbly jaw shape. But there's two really, really cool things about this mod. So the first thing first is that it comes with both an aquatic and a terrestrial version. We'll have a look at the lagoon version in just a moment. But the other thing is it has, well, it has actually 3 cool things. The second thing is there's been a modding breakthrough that's allowed rigs to be scaled up, basically. So this is actually running on the Dimetrodon rig. But as you can see, it's working perfectly with the legs. So now, because Dimetrodon has that sort of quadrupedal where the legs are sort of stuck out to the side, that really suits a lot of modern reptiles. It's going to make a lot of those larger reptile mods look really, really cool. The other cool thing about this thing has custom animations. We've seen custom animations a couple of times before, once on the Freddy Fazbear statue and once on the sauropod, but the sauropod had a few problems. I can't remember what sauropod it was off the top of my head. And very cool, this is going to have some really awesome alligator, crocodilian sort of specific animations. I'm just going to force them to happen, potentially. What are you doing? You're not doing a social animation again, are you? No, right. So what I want to do is we're going to dinosaur control toolbox, and I'm going to put it to sleep, and this should be a custom animation when it goes to sleep. Yeah, there you go. So it looks a bit weird as it goes into it, but as you can see, it's sleeping with that mouth wide open, which is something we see modern crocodilians do all the time, and they'll rest and just leave their mouth open permanently like that. That's really cool. So yeah, custom animations, custom behaviors, essentially, whole new rigging abilities. This thing is very, very cool and is very much at the forefront of what's happening right now with Jurassic World Evolution 2 modding. How awesome is that? That's very, very cool. There is another one as well, another custom animation. It's not just this, so I'm going to try to force this one over here. Yeah, so yeah, Deinosuchus with both a land and lagoon. We'll see the lagoon version very quickly in a second, but new animations, new rig editing abilities, generally speaking, really, really cool stuff. Right, let's go check out this version. Here we go. So again, same Masterdoot here, and this is part of the same mod. You just have to download and then install both of the files separately. And these ones are the more custom skins. These aren't the American alligator ones or the albino ones. This is what it would look like otherwise with our lovely striping pattern, as you can see down there. And yeah, very cool. I mean, it looks fantastic. It looks really cool here in the water as well. I believe this rig is based on Dunkleosteus, so it's not going to climb up onto the rocks or anything like that, which is a bit of a shame for our amphibious species, but still, it looks fantastic. Really well textured, really well modelled. Custom animations, which is really cool. Look at that. What a beast. Yeah, it just fits right in and looks brilliant. So shout out to Masterdoot, forefront of modding. big things are coming. You know, custom animations is a huge deal. Let's see what else we end up getting down the line. Right, but that is not all. We do have 5 other fantastic mods to take a look at, so let's look at our new species of today. This one and this one have no text for some reason, not sure why. This is a Austroraptor by Hockowl1215. Well, 1125. Or Hockowl, I don't know. So, very cool. Austroraptor here, popularized again this year thanks to Prehistoric Planet Season 2, a Dromaeosaurid from late Cretaceous Argentina. Now, at 20 feet long, this was one of the larger Dromaeosaurs, not the largest, but it was up there, and the largest from the Southern Hemisphere. It's part of the, and I'm going to butcher this, but there's a subfamily of Dromaeosaurids called Unlaginae. Now, some people think it should be its own family entirely, some people think it's a subfamily of Dromaeosaurids. We're going to say it's a subfamily for the purposes of this video, but it's a member of Unlaginae, which are long-snouted Dromaeosaurids from South America. Austro, as one of them, has a couple of key features. One of them is that its claws are very long and thin. They're not thick, stouty things. They're very long and very skinny. And it also has very, very short forearms. This is kind of the thing Austro is most known for, is very, very short forearms. And all this together means Austroraptor, unlike, say, your Utahs and stuff, your Dakotas, if Dakota even exists, it probably wasn't hunting large herbivores. It probably wasn't hunting larger prey and taking, you know, pack hunting large hadrosaurs and stuff like that. Austro probably hunted small, quick, darting prey, small dinosaurs that would move a lot faster. And, you know, it was a very gracile dinosaur compared to some of those thicker, bulkier Dromaeosaurs that we would have had. And, you know, compare this to the Utahraptor, and it's a lot skinnier and more sleek. It looks really good, this mod by Hockowl. It's got a gigantic pubis, but it looks really good. I love this kind of smattering of feathers along the body there, and then it kind of sprouts up into a lovely big tail fan, as you can see at the back. That humongous, beautiful tail fan right there at the back. And then, you know, we've got the wing feathers as well, which look really good, aren't breaking at all. Look nice. We've got that little glimmer of light on them, and goes really well with this sort of smattering and sort of downy sort of approach to the feathers, which of course breaks around the snout, as you would expect. I love seeing modders do feathering like this. You know, sometimes we'll get a dinosaur that's kind of got those drawn-on feathers, or the Jesus, or the textured feathers, and it looks okay. But when they can do this and put the work in to make this happen, it looks much, much better. And Hockowl has done a fantastic job with it. Okay, what a beautiful raptor. You tell them, buddy. Okay, speaking of Hockowl, they not only brought out that fantastic Austroraptor, but they also brought out a Ankylosaur Cosmetic pack, and this brings out paleo-accurate recreations of every single Ankylosaur in the game, but as a new cosmetic, so you can have your original version and your new paleo-accurate version as you're about to see. So what I've done is I've made both versions in this park, so we can see here this is our classic Ankylosaurus, and if we shift to the left, we can see this is the new paleo-accurate version, so much, much smaller. And as we now sort of know, this one's nicer. As we now sort of know, the plating would have been much less extravagant and poking out. It, you know, would have felt like it much more sort of blends in with the rest of the body. If you've seen the Ankylosaur in Saurian, you'll kind of expected something like this. We've got these large bony nodules and that much sort of more segmented, individualized plating over there on top of the skull as well. It is a fairly wild difference between this little guy over here and this big guy over here. You know, obviously the Jurassic World version was never particularly accurate, but it is interesting just to see the difference between the Jurassic World versions and the paleo accurate versions. And there you go, good comparison of the two vastly different looking dinosaurs these days. So this is our paleo accurate Minmi. Let me find the OG. There's our OG there. Really is super cute. And our paleo accurate version, a little bit skinnier. We've got more spikes sort of poking out here down along the tail. We've got, let's say, less nodules there around the back, less of a scaly head, but then we've got this more elaborate sort of poking out, and around the neck as well, this really interesting sort of bony growths around the side of the neck, almost like individual plates along there as well, which are each segmented with these pokey out bits. And also a more prominent sort of beak looking area as well, and a skinnier front of the snout there. It's definitely not as cute, but you know, that's not what we're looking for here. And there you can see our paleo accurate version, again a little bit smaller, much wider in the body, sort of like flatter and wider around here. humongous spikes sticking out the front. You know, we've got them here, but these ones are a little bit tamer compared to these ones. These ones are gigantic, and these have been pushed out even further. We've got a bit of a skin flap down there at the bottom, and just an overall smaller body shape and sort of skinnier snout. It's roughly the same story for Nodosaurus. Now, this Nodosaurus, as we've kind of talked about in the past, is really Borealopelta. It's very similar to Borealopelta. This area in particular is straight from that fantastic fossil they found in, I want to say Alberta, but I don't really remember. But you can see here there's a more paleo version, so very, very, very different. We've got this really interesting flat plate here on the back. You'll see with most of these Ankylosaur recreations, the body is flatter and wider. It's very strange looking, but it's more up to date. Loads of little nodules around here, and it just doesn't have all the jutting out. It's much, much, much less armoured than the Jurassic World version, which, as I say, is based on a different dinosaur entirely. This one is more similar to maybe other Nodosaurids that I've been knocking around. There's a few others. There's also a new species in the Crocodilian, but generally speaking, it's just a really cool little mod. But it's a really cool little pack. Must have taken a lot of work, you know, individually modelling all these different Ankylosaurs and stuff like that, making them all work rigging-wise. They've all got individual patterns and colours and really pretty looking. The Ankylosaur in particular, I think, is bombed. Is my favourite of the bunch. I think it looks really good. And definitely unique, definitely stands out. And as I say, they're just cosmetics, so you don't lose anything by installing these into your game. Right, back to our standard new species. Next we have blank name. No, this is Pycnonemosaurus by Trippy28. So Pycnonemosaurus is an abelosaurid from late Cretaceous Brazil. The remains for Pycno are fragmentary, to say the least. They're in very poor condition, very pitted and kind of worn down, because the area where they were discovered was clearly exposed to the elements over the, I was going to say decades, but, you know, millennia. However, based on the findings we have so far, if it turns out to be accurate, and bearing in mind this thing was only described a few years ago, and most of the time when dinosaurs are first described, they tend to be larger in their first description and then they shrink down over time. But the initial estimates for Pycnonemosaurus put it at 29.2 feet in length. And that would make it the largest abelosaurid around, even bigger than Carnotaurus. It looks really cool. The arms, I think there's a small problem here. They should probably be pointing backwards. But I think it feels different than Carnotaurus. It's got, you know, less of the spikes and stuff like that. It looks a little bit thicker, a little bit bulkier. It's kind of cuter in a way. I don't really know why. I really like the sort of weird, sort of darker scales we've got going on here. It gives it a really interesting texture. Little dashes of colour down there along the back. It's just a pretty stout, pretty steady, really nicely made abelosaurid. You know, not something we've got tons of in the game. And does feel demonstrably different than the Carnotaurus because of those lack of extra things. It feels kind of like its own thing. Yeah, cool. Right, next up, we are going to release a pack of Velociraptors. This is the Jurassic Park Chaos Legacy Lowland Velociraptor teaser by Dr. Sammy Wu, with some skins from Game Videos for Life. So this is basically a big cosmetic pack for the Velociraptor, and it has skins based on a whole range of different properties. I don't know if there's been any remodeling going on. Some of the skins are skins already in the game, but they've been made more film accurate. Some of them you'll recognize, however, from other things. I can't remember what this one's from already, but there you go. A lot of them are from the original Jurassic Park, from the novel, from the Lost World Jurassic Park. This one, yeah, there we go, very cool. So this, as you can see, it's even got the sort of milky eye. This is the Velociraptor from Jurassic Park the game. So they're from the game, Jurassic Park the game, they're from the novel, they're from the Lost World arcade game, they're from concept art. It's just a bunch of different Velociraptor skins from across the canon. And added to this Lowland Velociraptor. There's a whole Highland, Lowland Velociraptor thing now. But this is, yeah, really cool with that scar down the eye, of course, where Oscar slashes at the raptor. Really cool to see that come in. We've got ones from the Lost World arcade game. We've got the, I can't remember what they all are, but the full list is on the thing if you want to check it out for yourselves. Actually, we can see the genetic description. This is Velociraptor 1997B. So this is from the, I think it's from the arcade game. This is the novel variant, how the raptors were more described in the novel. Just stuff like that. I think it's a really, really cool variety pack. Tons of different raptor skins. Lots of, it's got that green and red brightly striped one as well, which I deeply, deeply love. A really cool variety pack. All of them are just extra skins, extra cosmetics. Again, you don't lose anything. And definitely recommend them. They're all, fantastically well made. And definitely worth checking out. Our final mod for today is Bajadasaurus from Glitch. One of the Glitch uploaded 5 species they'd made before they retired from mod making, and this was one of those 5. I was going to say, I'm sure there's another one coming, but I don't know where it is. Bajadasaurus is just a very cool dinosaur. So it's one of the Bajadasaurus is a early Cretaceous sauropod from Argentina. We've got a lot of Cretaceous and a lot of South America today. Similar to a Margosaurus in that it has these 2-pronged and extremely elongated neural spines, as you can see. Small compared to most sauropods. This thing, it doesn't look very big here. This thing was the size of an Asian elephant. It was still gigantic. Now, there's a lot of debate as to what these spines are for, of course, because, we're never really going to know for sure. Potentially a passive defense mechanism, just, try to bite me around the neck. Let's see how that goes for you. Obviously, potentially for mating displays and stuff like that, and also potentially for containing air sacs that would allow them to trumpet loud noises. Now, you can see that these two are very similar. Bajadasaurus, they were more leaning towards these being used as weaponry because, as you can see with the Amargasaurus, the spines tilt backwards, but with the Bajadasaurus, the spines have this sort of forward-facing curve, which just make it a little bit easier to use them as an actual purposeful weapon. Now, there's still some debate as to whether these were even exposed in the first place, and that's gone back and forth quite a few times, whether they had keratin sheaths or whether they had skin covering them, or maybe they had half skin covering them, and of course that's going to some extent determine what they would have been used for. There was a lot of thing with Amargasaurus where maybe the top portion was keratin, and the lower portion was skin, and that would contain air sacs, so they could make these trumpeting, bellowing sort of noises potentially, or again it would just be used for display or indeed self-defense. It's really interesting to compare. Bajadasaurus and Amargasaurus are basically the only 2 dinosaurs that look like this. There are other sauropods in their their group, in their subgroup, etc. And this is a really beautiful one. I love these little extra nodules. We've got little extra smaller spines in there. Obviously, it's very, very similar to the Amargasaurus, but it's a little bit different there. And we've got those different spine shapes, which is what you'd expect. And I think if nothing else, this would make a really cool, duo habitat. Have it living with your Amargasaurus and have both of them together. It's called Deinosuchus or something like that. I can't remember what the group's called, but the one with these elongated neural spines. It's Ceridae, it's something Ceridae at the very least. But yeah, another really cool mod from Glitch, and it'll be a shame to see them go. And that is, you're still they're both still doing their thing. That is it from me today. Some really, really cool mods today. Look, this is always going to be my favorite of the bunch. I think it is absolutely superb looking. You'd have this right by the, actually, let me just move him slightly. We're going to have him sitting there by the edge of the water, mouth open, ready, so he has a little rest. It's just very, very cool stuff, to say the least. Looks absolutely fantastic. Custom animations, really exciting. Rig editing and scaling, really exciting as well. Some fantastic raptor skins, some really cool new species from Hokal, Trippy, and Glitch. And of course, that fantastic Ankylosaur Cosmetic pack as well. Has been a fairly quiet week otherwise. I had to go back a little bit for a few of these. I think as we ramp up to our next DLC, hopefully in a month or so, fingers crossed, modding tends to slow down a little bit. I know people are holding on until the game's finished updating. We'll have to wait and see when that happens, but yeah, just very, very cool. Very, very cool to see this come to life. Let me know what you think down below. Of course, go give the mod makers all the love in the world. They very much deserve it. I will link all these mods in the description via the documents, so just click on the document and you'll find links to each of these mods, and of course all the mods I've done showcases on in the past. And for me, like and enjoy the video. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very, very soon. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.